video, we're going to talk about what you should do if you just started studying for the MPRE at the last minute. So my guess is when you registered for the MPRE, you probably had great intentions to start studying early and to make sure that you weren't cramming at the last minute. But here you are at the last minute, trying your best to prepare for the MPRE. So first things first, and I think this is a really helpful tip that a lot of people just don't think about. It's always best to study smarter instead of harder. And this is true if you started weeks and weeks ago or if you are studying at the last minute. But it's especially important if you're studying at the last minute. So what do I mean by this? I mean that instead of treating all of the rules equally for your last minute cram session, you should make sure that you get your hands on a good set of rules. So for instance, we have a free outline. We also have a free one sheet. And it's a really great resource because it tells you how highly tested each subsection of the rules are. And this is great because if you are studying last minute, you can focus that limited amount of time that you have on those highly tested rules to make sure that you have a good hold of them. And the reason this is going to make you more effective is because you're going to get more questions on those highly tested areas of the rules. So for instance, conflicts. Conflicts make up 12 to 18% of your total MPRE exam, whereas judicial conduct makes up 2 to 8% of your exam. So while, of course, ideally you would never ignore any of the rules in preparation for this exam, you can maximize your chances of success by being sure that you have put forth at least your best effort in reviewing those highly tested rules. So that's our first tip for you. Our second tip is to look at real released questions. There's nothing wrong with practicing invented or made up questions, and most bar prep companies out there have them. We do too. But ideally, you would try your hand at some real released questions. Why? Because it's the best way to prepare yourself for the actual exam. So if you're looking to purchase real released questions, you can get them from the National Conference of Bar Examiners themselves. Those are the people who draft and administer this exam. Or you could purchase them from us, for instance. We also make them available online. Our third tip, if you find yourself preparing at the last minute, is do your very best to be prepared to answer these questions under timed constraints. Because of course the MPRE is a timed exam. And I would hate for you to kind of cram, but ultimately not practice questions under timed constraints just to find out that you run out of time on exam day. So ideally, you would take a practice exam, but if you find that you don't have time to do that, that's okay. Even if you spend some time timing yourself, doing just a handful of questions, this is better than nothing. So on average, if you're taking this exam under normal timed constraints, you're going to have 2 minutes a question. So it's a good idea to set your clock and to get a feel for what 2 minutes feels like so that you can be better prepared on exam day when you're faced with those 60 questions to complete in 2 hours. Additionally, our final tip is get a good night's sleep. A lot of people are kind of counterproductive and they stay up all night cramming just to find that they're really tired and groggy on exam day and they're not thinking clearly, and therefore they're going to struggle answering these questions, whether they struggle just because they're having a hard time comprehending due to lack of sleep, or they're simply running out of time because they're tired and running at a slower pace. So don't do that. I know it might feel like it's the right thing to do by staying up all night and studying, but ideally you want to get some sleep. Sleep is key for creating a memory, and of course, ideally you will have some of these rules memorized for exam day. So we hope those tips help you out for all those people who are preparing last minute for the MPRE.